Right, hello and welcome to another Expert Inside interview. My name is John Golden from Sales Pop, online sales magazine and Pipeliner CRM, joining you as usual from a sunny San Diego. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Armine Alajian, who is in New Jersey today. And Armine is the founder of the Alajian Group, recognized as one of the top accountants in Los Angeles. You began your accounting career at 19. Wow.
Right.
And gaining experience in fintech startups, public accounting, corporate accounting, business management for entertainment professionals. And after earning your CPA license, you moved into corporate accounting and found your passion working with startups. And today, what we're going to talk about is how AI and accounting serves as a backbone of business, especially for startups. So, I guess starting out, Armine, is like what impact has AI had on accounting so far? Given how the big impact it's having on all different industries, how in particular is it impacting accounting?
Yeah, there's been a lot of impact. In my opinion, it's all good impact because
Mhm.
for accounting is, it's the infrastructure, it's the foundation of a house. So it's foundation of business. It's a must, you need it. And with AI, we have a lot of tools and softwares that can help us do our job efficiently, accurately, to prevent fraud. All the systems can integrate and talk to each other, right? So
Mhm.
I think it's great. You still need humans to run these systems, you
Mhm.
still need to manage them, but there's definitely a lot out there. And now, this November, I was in Lisbon, Portugal, at a fintech startup conference, Collision. And there was all kinds of AI. I mean, they're building robots and self-driving cars. So with accounting, with us, it's a lot of software, a lot of tools, a lot of
Mhm.
systems that, just like before, we use Excel. Now it's another AI tool instead of by hand.
Yeah. And obviously, like you said, you still need that human expertise because you got to make sure that the tools are
Right.
compliant and
Yes.
and ethical, etc. Right?
Right, right. So like we're using calculators, we're using Excel, right? That was a big shift from doing everything by hand, the 9 column journal. So right now we just have more great tools.
Yeah. And I guess now for a startup, I mean, having these tools and available, it allows you to build the accounting infrastructure that much faster, I would say. Yeah.
Faster, cleaner, more efficient. So the information's there on demand, and we don't have to recreate it for, let's say, the bankers, the investors, the auditors. Everything's there. We just need to build it for
Mhm.
the proper audience.
Yeah. And what are some of the innovative ways you've seen AI being used or you're using AI today?
Big one is reconciliations, just different tools that sync with your banks, with QuickBooks, uh, to do these sophisticated reconciliations, like revenue recognition, right? You're
Yeah.
charging an invoice for 1,000 that has very specific needs, and there's a tool that, if you build it and map it right, that could do it all for you. Book your journal entries, give you all kinds of reports.
So therefore, I mean, while you still need to know, some basic finance, I mean,
Absolutely.
it's always a good thing to be aware of that. It's allowing you, obviously, then to be able to skip a lot of the bigger learning curve, if you like, where you now because it can lay out things like you're saying, like revenue recognition. Sometimes that's a hard thing for people to get their heads around, especially if they've never come across it before.
Right. And, the company has their vision. This is what it should look like. And these tools are for us, for accountants to
Yeah.
use. We take that vision and put it into writing, right? Is this
Mhm.
what you want? Yes, this is exactly great. Now, and this gives information to the business, right? This is what your business, how your business is doing. This is how it's really operating. It's
Mhm.
cash versus accrual, it's sales coming in.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, and understanding, understanding cash flow and understanding,
Mhm.
revenue versus actually liquid cash and capital and all of those good things. Obviously it helps with being able to uncover those, maybe illustrate those to, to the people in the business that more easily.
Right. It helps a lot with reporting as well. So
Mhm.
different reporting, the data is the same. So it's like, how do we slice it? Different departments need a different report. You need different reports. Like I said, cash versus accruals. Show me this, show me that. So with these tools, we could have all these different reports.
Mhm. I think it's one of the nice things about AI, I guess, is that the fact that in order for it to operate efficiently, you have to be very explicit and understand and know what you're asking, right? So it's
Exactly.
like, so now, if you like, people have to spend the time up front making sure that they're asking the right questions and in the right way, and they're expanding upon it. So therefore, they're getting the right result coming back. And I think that's a good discipline for people, because we've gotten used to just throwing a couple of keywords and an idea and sort of throwing it over to somebody and saying, bring me back a report, and then going, well,
Right.
that's not exactly what I wanted, and back and forth and back
Right.
and
Right.
forth. And I think that's closing the gap on that a little bit.
And it's a relevant report, right? It's just
Yeah.
numbers. It's like, oh, here's a balance sheet, but what is
Yeah.
it really telling me? Right.
Yeah. So now, I mean, obviously you can have it generate more of a narrative as well.
Right. Correct.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, what are some of the trends that you're seeing? That is, I mean, because there's a lot of, with AI, and there's different types of accounting now. I mean, we've got blockchain, we've got all of these other items that are coming in. What are you seeing as some of the, less traditional, maybe more future oriented challenges that are coming up for accounting?
A lot of AI, it's a title, you say AI, but
Sure.
I use and test a lot of tools, and most can be just glorified Excel spreadsheets
Hmm.
with the
Right.
AI title. But what is
Sure.
AI? Does it really have that logic? Kind of like Chat GPT, right? It just like gives you, do you
Mhm.
want me to create a spreadsheet for you? Take this data and analyze. Like right now, I see a lot of tools, but we'll probably see more a lot of logic. Like, okay, here's what it looks like now. What does this really mean?
Right.
Maybe decision making for the business. Like, okay, here's the data. Great. Now, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
Help me, put the brains and let's all gather all our information. This is what I want to tell
Yeah.
us.
So getting more into predictive
Models.
yeah, and
Mhm.
modeling and stuff, because let's face it, that's the stuff that's been pretty hard to do, and was required obviously a lot of brain power, and maybe, and again, maybe not always understood by the person like asking for these, reports or this guidance, not really understanding exactly what they're
Correct.
asking for.
And there's so many moving parts. It's not just your bank statement. It's not
Sure.
just this. You need to feed it all in one place. People think, oh, I have a bank statement. Oh, I have Shopify. Oh, I have, this. No, it's bringing everything together. And then for that to, use logic to predict and like the budgets, the projections. That's also very important. Right now, they're tools, but you still need like Excel, you still need to really go in and build it. But in the future, there might be some more better tools with that and projections versus actuals. That's very important too. It's like, okay, how did we really do? This is what we projected.
And that's a really good point that you just raised there a moment ago. Is traditionally, like, we've had lots of different information, but all of it's times it's sat in different places,
Hmm.
and it's required somebody to kind of bring it together. But that's not always the most efficient way. So you have oftentimes asymmetric information, right? It's not connected to each other. I guess now with AI, it's helping because it can feed off multiple sources. It can start to bring all of that together in a more coherent fashion.
Correct. There's a lot more tools and apps available where it's not like, oh my God, we could integrate. It's like we integrate.
Yeah, 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 exactly,
Or
exactly.
when I see softwares, like there's some archaic payroll systems, they're like, we don't like, how do you not?
Yeah.
That's a red flag for me. If the company is like that, like, no.
No, no, they have to make it easy because, as we said, I mean, information has to be worked together, it has to flow between systems, etc. And do you think that the advent of AI, do you think it's going to change the skills required to, for people like you?
I do. I think about this a lot, like the Industrial Revolution, those
Mhm,
skills changed, right? Or back in the days when people did accounting, they spent so many hours doing it by hand, adding, and then calculators, Excel came. So I think like the brain part is gonna be there. It's just the task, and
mhm.
you're not gonna need 20 staff members to do
Right.
that. You might need one or two. So I
Mhm,
think our time will be used efficiently.
mm.
Probably the newer generation in school, they're being taught like they have a different outlook and mindset with that. For us, it's definitely gonna be a shift.
Yeah.
Just like,
And
how do we
yeah,
shift?
no, no, I think absolutely. And I think it's going to allow people like yourself, who want to be more kind of creative and have bigger
Yeah,
impact, that you're able to do that now, as opposed to getting dragged down by all the tactical stuff that needs to be
correct,
done, that
yeah.
AI can do better.
Yeah, it's gonna give us more capacity to be creative. We're not gonna spend that time doing what a computer system can do.
Right, right, right. And then that means then that you're a greater asset to your clients perhaps than before, because you can get into more strategic conversations.
Right, and everything's gonna be so much faster and quicker, like Amazon, right? You order something
Mhm.
at 4 AM, it's there.
Yeah.
So then you could service so many more people, and then they could, their business will continue. They don't have to wait a week. It's like it's just constant ongoing.
Yeah, no, it's funny. It's funny you mention Amazon, because I think it's like 12 years ago I did this interview on Sky Business News in Australia, and we're talking about immediacy, and one of the questions was, but what if I want something tomorrow? And at the time that was a ridiculous concept, even from Amazon. It was like, well, come on, you can't get it tomorrow.
Right.
And now you can pretty much, if you order it at certain point of the day, you can get it today even.
Right. And then when
Just
they
just
start flying those drones and dropping,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just afraid, yeah, if they start doing that with my wife, there'll be drones crashing into each other over our house. So, um, but yeah, and what about some and founders, because this is the thing, I guess you probably come across a lot with startups, right? Startup founders, probably think about accounting and bookkeeping, all of that, as a necessary evil, as opposed to, as we're saying, is a strategic, as it's something that they really need to get their heads around. How do you help educate them early on to say, like, the more attention you pay to this, something that maybe you don't love, or maybe you don't think you love, but this is going to be really important for you, and you're going to make all the other things you want to do that much easier.
I think they understand. Nobody likes accountants. We're like the mailmen, you're just a target, but money is the language of business.
Hmm.
So if you want to get more money, if you want to make better decisions, you need to have your accounting in place
Hmm.
so investors can give you more money so you could actually see what's going on in your business. We're a cost center. They don't see us as a value added
Right.
like marketing. We're a cost
Mm.
center.
So, what are some of the first things that you would advise startup founders and owners to do when it comes to accounting?
Set up your infrastructure, period. Just set it up, have it ready to go, because then it can scale as you scale. You're not starting something in year two where we're going back and trying to get everything. Just set it up and have it there. Your volume is little in the beginning. That's fine. As it grows, the system is there to support it.
Hmm.
Implement all the systems. Do accounting monthly, quarterly, at least if you're just starting out. Just
Hmm.
have it ready to go. Do your projections, do all your taxes, do your compliance. A lot of them don't. They think, "Oh, I'm not making money. I don't have to file for taxes." And then when they need a bank loan or something, "Oh, you're not complying with the state because you didn't fill out this form or you didn't file that
Hmm.
franchise tax." Just have an
Yeah.
accounting partner, just like you have a legal partner.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like you said, I mean, I think it's something that sometimes I think, yeah, well, if I'm not making money right now, if I'm just spending money, well, I don't really need to have all this stuff. But I think the other thing too, isn't it, like, just establishing the rules and what you're going to do, and just good best practices from the get go, right? Like,
Right, right.
not commingling funds.
Yes, yes, that's a big one. Let's keep it separate. And if you're constantly doing it, recurring month by month, then you know what's there. It's not a surprise.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I think that's the thing is like that you can, and I think that's where and accountants and people can really, really help is your job is to help founders, help owners avoid surprises because
That's it.
surprises in business, sometimes they're good, but oftentimes they're not.
Right. And then you don't want the legal surprises or the IRS surprises. And all of that eventually leads to taxes. Then it's
Mm,
tax strategy. Then if
right.
your numbers are right, like, okay, what do we do? How do we strategize this? What credits? Uh what can we use?
Yeah, and it's like when yeah, right, and when tax time comes around, if you haven't been on top of things, then you're struggling. You're saying, "Yeah, I could probably get you all of this, but you never tracked it, or you never,
Mhm.
recorded it, or whatever." So it gets a little bit more difficult. Um, and did you think, and when you work with startup founders, once you get over the infrastructure part, I mean, what's the next best value that you bring to them?
Just like holding hands is a partnership. It's an ongoing partnership. We've set it up. Now let's project. What does our model look like? What do we want? And now let's track it every month compared to the projections, how the business is going. Just that interactive conversation. It's a constant moving model because every month something changes. And when you update the data, you have it, you meet, you're like, okay, we're all kind of it's a navigation tool. We're all going to the
Mhm.
same direction. Are we? Right? Are we going to the same direction? So let's make sure we all are.
Yeah.
So
And
we don't get lost.
and I guess now with the AI tools, as we said earlier, that allows you to percolate up the things that matter, so you can have much more focused and relevant conversations.
Mhm. Correct.
Yeah, and obviously that's where you want to. Obviously, that's where you want to be. You want to be at those like
Right.
relevant conversations. What are
You wanna
some
be
of the
and you wanna be included, like, tell us in the beginning. They usually don't tell us, like, they make all these decisions and then, well, before you wanna do something big, let's talk, let's see how it'll affect legal, accounting,
Mhm.
tax, HR before we make that decision.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point because I think sometimes people think, well, if I involve all these people, like they're just going to come up with all this stuff that's kind of irrelevant or whatever. But it gets back to what you're saying. It's like the difference between being a partner and just being a service that's used.
Exactly, yes, we're a partner. We're not just
Mhm.
like a one-off, "Oh, here." No, we're a partner.
Yeah.
We wanna
And so setting up the infrastructure is obviously really important. What are some other areas that people should focus on or common mistakes that you see that you have to come in and fix?
reconciliations. I see that is something that is dismissed, and I'm talking about serious
Mhm.
reconciliations, not just like your bank reconciliations,
Right.
your revenue reconciliations for fintech companies or, bank banks or anything that you reoccurring revenue, right? Like there's merchants, there's fees, there's reserves, there's this, there's that to reconcile all of that, like cash versus accrual. Like our sale was $1,000, but did we get $1,000? No. Did this customer pay? Did this check clear? Like all of that.
Yeah,
I s-
yeah.
that's a very big
Yeah, because that's such a killer,
thing.
isn't it, for businesses? Is like I said, it's especially when people start their businesses and they think, "Oh, look, actually the revenue's pretty good. I'm doing really well." But then they don't realizing, well, yeah, the revenue's great, but half of it hasn't been paid yet, or it hasn't, or like you said, it's cleared, or some of it's sitting in bad debt now. And
Mhm.
when does that, and then, which I used to always hate when I ran some businesses, like for this company, is the bad debt write-off is just such a killer.
Right.
If you don't know it's coming, if you haven't like already said, okay, that's going to hit at this stage, and I understand that, it's
Mhm.
those are the kind of surprises that just kill you.
It's that awareness, monthly
Mm.
awareness. If it's constantly like there, you see it, you might not want to deal with it, but it's there.
Yeah, I never wanted to write the bad debt
Right.
off. I just wanted to carry it for as long as I could get away with it. But but obviously you've got to, there comes that point where you got to write it off. Well, listen, Armine, this has been fascinating. So you see, I mean, you see excitement ahead for your profession because of AI, because of AI kind of unleashing your creativity, and maybe in the future, people like you will be seen as the strategic creative partners rather than just number crunchers.
You're right, right, right.
Well, listen, all of Armine's information will be below this video. But before we go, please do tell people a little bit more about your business.
So I'm the founder of Alajian Group Inc., California. I'm a California CPA. When people think of CPA, they think taxes. No, it's not just taxes,
Mhm.
more financial accounting. We're like an external accounting department for companies. We work with a lot of startups, e-commerce, fintech, as well as medium, small size um, companies. Provide accounting services, taxes, advisory, business management, all of it above.
Excellent. Well, it's all I always say,
Use the
especially
latest tools and
to, yeah, and I would
systems.
say to people, like, if it's not your core competency, you should outsource it. I think that's a good piece of advice for anybody starting a business, is like focus on your core competency and then partner with people
Exactly.
like yourself for the other parts. Don't try and do everything, because number one, you won't be able to, and second off, no matter how hard you try, you'll never do it as well as somebody who's that's
Oh,
their core
absolutely,
competency.
right. And I think because of the tools, like, we're gonna see a decline in, like, employees,
Mhm.
but,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah, but, tools are only as good as the people who use them, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. Well, listen, thanks a lot, Armine. As I
Thank
said, all of
you.
Armine's information will be below this
Thank you for having
video.
me.
Absolutely. Thank you for watching, listening, and I'll see you all again very soon. Thank you.